Hey, thank you. This is Bob Tripathi with Digital Sparx Marketing, and what I'm gonna talk about is analytics, and we have Thom Craver with CBS Interactive. Thom, so you guys are in weather and things like that, right?
Oh yeah.
So do you predict weather? No.
No. No predictions. Just a lot of reporting and measuring.
Nice. So I know that analytics data is your expertise. So to start off with, most people that I know are not so much into measurement. They look at data and they don't know how to interpret it. But marketing is about measurement, and if you
Absolutely.
can't measure, you can't really improve on things. So what are some of the top KPIs you recommend people to start off with?
It's so subjective, right?
Okay,
I mean,
yeah.
it's different for every industry.
Yeah.
And a lot of people end up focusing on what we call the vanity metrics.
Right.
Those are the page views, unique visitors, bounce rate. I hate when people are like, our bounce rate is whatever. That's high, isn't it? I'm like, I don't know. Is it? Because if it's your email campaign that somebody came and landed on that page and they bounced right away, okay, that's bad.
Yeah.
But I was in higher ed for a long time. I
Right.
had professors that were like, who came to my page, and that was a vanity metric of how.
Right.
But the point is, if you search for Professor, Tripathi,
Yeah.
right, Professor Bob, and you land on your page.
Oh, that sounds great.
Doesn't that sound good? Professor Bob? And they come to your page, they look at your office hours,
Yeah.
they know when you're there, they know what room it is,
Yeah.
and they leave.
Right.
Is that a bad thing? It's a bounce.
Right.
But did you not serve the right content to the right person at the right time?
Yeah, you did.
That's not a bad bounce then in that case. So I mean, focusing on the vanity stuff without meaning or any intent behind it, that's bad.
Mm-hmm.
But the question was, what should they focus on?
Yeah, what are the KPIs?
So what makes you money? What
Right.
makes you money? What saves you money? CBS, we're in a publishing business,
Right.
So our biggest metric is how much money did we make on ads?
Right.
Display ads, video pre-rolls, video mid-rolls, that kind of
Right.
stuff. So in that case, it's how are we driving traffic to our site, and how many display ads do we get, how many video mid-rolls do we get, how much money did we make on this content? Which content are people more coming back for versus other content?
Mm-hmm.
I care about the hurricane.
Right.
I don't care about this other political news.
Right.
Right? So, and then you focus on, not that in the news business you don't let the visitors, dictate the news, obviously, but for businesses in general, I think about the travel entertainment segment, right? How do you get more people? What do they care about? They care more about this location, not that location.
Right.
Focus on what brings you the more business.
Okay.
If you're B2B, how did people get to you? What service are they interested in? Here's a really good one, really deep nugget. If I could tell you that there was a particular page that led to 90% of your conversions, wouldn't you A, want to know that, and B, get that page higher up in the chain
Oh, absolutely.
than further down in the funnel?
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff. Those are the metrics you should focus on. It's different for every business, but those are some generalities to go on.
So, for example, in B2B, the crux is how many leads can you capture on the
Right.
website? So that's your objective, right?
That
the
is
KPI.
what I would think that would be your objective for,
Right,
for a
right.
services business.
So what are the other metrics someone who the B2B marketer would look at beyond signups, right? So
How did they get to you? What was the discovery? What discovery leads to more conversions? What discovery leads to more bounces? This is a case where maybe bounce is what page did they land on?
Right.
Did that particular page mean the bounce, or did that particular page, was it a good page that helped a conversion? Did they
Right.
look through more? What things were they clicking on or going through? What drove them? And of course, everybody who comes to your site comes from a different method.
Right.
If I'm searching for something and I come across your site and that serves my need, that's one thing. If I search for something and you can't really tell the words anymore exactly,
Yeah.
there's ways you could track that back.
Right.
But did a certain keyword not lead to a conversion?
right,
And if so, I should be re-optimizing that page for something else.
Right.
That kind of stuff. How do people get there? Because they all have different intents. They come from an email campaign, they come from social, and social is a wild card itself too, right?
Right.
Social could be, hey, you shared something, I saw it, I'm like, hey, what the hell is that? So I
Yeah.
decided to go out and look at it.
Right.
Or social could be, I follow you, I've been
Yeah.
following you for a while, and I'm finally interested in your product.
nice.
Different intents mean different things. The important thing is not the metric so much,
Yeah.
but how to focus on the intent. And optimizing that intent once somebody gets there.
And then your goals, right? As a business, what's your
Absolutely.
goals?
What's
and
your
then
goals?
you
what
go.
makes you money? What saves you money? What's
Right.
the point of your website?
And you touch upon a very interesting thing is social and all this. What is attribution? Now, attribution modeling, we are still in the dark ages, the first click, last click, and all that debate. So how do you go about creating a nice attribution model, if there is,
There isn't, is the answer to that, right? So every attribution model, as far as digital is concerned right now, is awful.
Right.
You find the one that's the least awful, right? So if you are an affiliate marketer,
Right.
every affiliate will tell you, I'm the first one that brought you to that site.
You're right.
I get the
Right.
credit for the sale. I don't care if it was 5 years ago. I brought them there first.
Yeah.
And so First Touch, 5 years ago, is that realistic?
Right.
I'm not sure,
Yeah.
right? The bigger part is, what is your goals of your organization?
Right.
How does each department contribute? Social and SEO always have this competition,
Right.
right? Search always brings more traffic, and social's like whatever. Social and search are rarely the final contact point. In fact, you
Right.
know what? You'd be surprised with this, but I would think. Do you know what the number one last touch point attribution is?
Tell me.
Direct.
Direct. Okay.
And just throw it in a simple everyday Amazon model. You go to Amazon on your phone because you're in the market or whatever. You're
Right.
doing something and you're like, in the moment, you're like, oh, I got to find that. You add it to your cart. You walk away from your phone. You go do whatever else you're doing. At the end of the day, you come home and you're like, oh, I threw 3 things in my cart this week. Now it's time to buy because I got paid yesterday. And you go directly to Amazon, go to your cart, right? And that's typical of a lot of transactions,
Right.
actually. 66% of the transactions online start on a mobile device. 33% of them end up on a desktop.
That's amazing.
It's
That's
incredible.
amazing.
So it's attribution is it part of the chain? Did social contribute? How much did it contribute? Did search contribute? How much did it contribute? Did your paid ads contribute? Sometimes those are the final touch point.
Right. Right.
But very rarely is it, one is more than the other. It's how did they contribute equally over, and then pick a time frame that matters. In that time frame, how long does it take you to sell your product? From
Yeah.
first interest, what is your sales cycle? For some people, it's a couple weeks. For some people, it's years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And attribution models, at least in Google, don't go back more than 90 days.
Right.
So then you're kind of lost on that one.
Right.
What makes sense for your business model, and your sales
Right.
cycle?
Right.
Again, everything's subjective.
Yeah, you're so right. And I think what I understand from you is create some kind of a percentage or equal assist, because at the end of the day, like for example, paid social, right? People are saying, oh, my paid social performed better than your AdWords
Right.
because it's all about budget allocation. So I think map out whatever you can so everyone gets the piece of the
That's
pie,
exactly
correct?
what it is.
Okay.
We have to cut back in whatever area. We're going to just arbitrarily throw a dart at this department. No, actually, they contribute 40%, or they contribute 20%, where this department contributes 22%. So they're pretty equal, or,
Right.
or whatever. And,
Right.
and you got to keep the budgets. They work together in tandem.
Right.
That understanding is probably more important than who had the last touch.
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, that's such an old... No, that's great. That's great. Thank you. So the other question I have, and a lot of people talk about this, is configuration. Like a lot of times I still see people are not measuring each and everything. So we have events and tag manager and page manager. Right. How do you go about making sure you're tagging everything, measuring everything?
Sure, right. So, again, get beyond your page views.
Okay.
You should be tracking every page view. Absolutely, hands down, done. Now, what else is going on your site? B2B services business.
Right.
You have forms. Measure the form.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Measure the funnel. If they didn't fill it out, go deeper.
Right.
Okay, fine. We all have a report that says we had 1,000 form submissions last week.
Yeah.
What good does that do you?
Right.
You're in the services business. If somebody fills out that form, it goes to a lead gen guy.
Right.
That person runs it through the system and tracks each individual person, and they're doing their job. They know
Right.
how many they got in. They know how many they're converting.
Right.
That report is useless. However, how many times did they submit that form, but it didn't go through because they gave you an invalid email address,
Right.
or they tried to skip
Or a Mickey Mouse
phone number?
email.
Right, right, that kind of stuff. So what's more important is take your tag manager
Right.
and say, on this page, listen for the form to be submitted.
Yeah.
Did it submit properly? Yes or no? And increment those numbers. If it didn't submit properly, now start tracking all the different fields. Which field was blank? Which field had an error in it? Tally those up. And at the end of the day, when you go to the boss and the boss says, well, no, these are really required, you're like, well, you know what, boss? I was looking, and we're losing all this business because we had this one. Here's an example where 50,000 people tried to fill out this form, and they didn't. They had 2 or 3 failures.
Right.
And in the end, only 20,000 actually did submit. They
Yeah.
persisted enough to get through. Fine, I'll give you my real information.
Right, right.
You take that and you spin that with, I think we have an opportunity here to maybe take less data. Because again, at the end of the day, that B2B form is
Yeah.
going to a lead gen guy.
Right. Right.
His job is to follow up.
Right.
Let him do that.
Right.
If it takes one email to qualify the customer of, did you spend this much money? Nobody wants to fill that out in first.
Right.
Here's the carrot. We'll give you this for free if you fill out this form. Let them fill out the form. You've been to forms all the time. You're like, I don't want to give you that information. I'm just going to fudge it. And if you go through a couple times, unless you really want that information,
yeah.
you're not going to.
Yeah, don't
I'll
get
go
too
somewhere else.
personal. Don't
No.
ask so many questions.
You need a first name.
Yeah.
You need an email address.
Yeah.
That's really the basics of all you need. You don't need to know how much they make or how much they're going to spend with you.
Yeah.
You can qualify that later.
And I think the other point to add to that is like chatbots, right? A lot of people are coming up with chatbots, and they have this huge freaking form, if I may say so, and where they ask like 6 questions, and don't ask them those questions
Get to the
right
point.
now. Get to the point, and as you get in the conversation, then you can fill
I'll
this
tell you one better.
information. Yeah.
How many times did that pop up?
Right.
Measure that as an event.
Right.
Did the person click X to close it down?
Right.
Count that as an event. Is
Right.
it worth paying for that bot still?
Yeah.
Which questions were more likely to be answered and interacted with? Which ones weren't?
Mm-hmm.
And you could track it after every interaction with JavaScript. Very simple to do.
So
Meaningful data.
So events are another thing.
I say go beyond the page views. Track
Okay.
events all day long.
Okay.
All day long. If you're doing something on your site, you're spending time, energy, money on making that happen, measure it. You've spent time, energy, and money. There's your investment. Now measure the return part of that to see if it's actually working for you.
Right. And for events, for our audience, events is anything that you want
Any
as an
interaction with a web page that isn't a page view.
Right,
Plain
right.
and simple.
And yeah, so just go, page views. I still see some people talk about page views and
Unique visitors. I like all the unique accounts. Page views, unique visitors, unique anything. It all is relative to
Yeah.
the window of report you're looking at. If I come to your website today, and then tomorrow, and then the day after, if you're looking at uniques by week, I'm 1 unique visitor.
Right.
If you're looking at it every day, I'm 3 unique visitors. At
Right.
the end of the week, and you're like, I had so many uniques every day. At the end of the week, I have like a third of those.
Yeah.
Well, duh.
Yeah.
Uniques are a rotating number.
and
based
then
on
the
window of
boss
time.
man is gonna say why we don't have conversions,
Yeah,
right?
we had all these uniques all these days. No, you got to measure it in the same consistent time period for uniques to actually mean anything.
Nice.
So,
Let me move on to the next part, which
Please.
is reporting. There are all these analysts, right? You get reports and you just read it. And the real trick is inferences, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the reports that you see people miss out on that they should focus on?
so understanding historical data trends,
Okay.
both with your organization and in the industry that you're in. You know, any B2C company, any direct sales company, you're going to see traffic numbers and probably conversion numbers spike up starting, late fall, right through the holiday season, and drop immediately off in January.
Yeah.
And then depending on the type of things you're selling, you might see that ramp up again in time for Valentine's Day, slight drop off, and then wedding season hits, and then it all drops off for the summer until late fall rolls around again. That's a seasonal trend.
Right.
You can't just say, oh, we're worse than we were last week. Well, last week was Christmas,
Right.
so of course we're down this week, or whatever. It happens in every industry. So understand patterns of behavior,
Yeah.
both in the consumer and in your industry. Understand we had this campaign. We expected numbers to go up to this level. They didn't. Were they higher? Great, we did well. What worked? How can we repeat that again? Oh, they were lower?
Yeah.
What didn't we do? Everybody measures the expected behavior.
Right.
Oh, we had all these sales. That's great.
Yeah.
The one you want to focus on are the ones that didn't convert.
Right,
Why?
right.
And understand why. And what was the path they followed? Were they on mobile or desktop? Did they have the same experience in both places?
Yeah.
What were the touch points along the way? What pages led to more conversions
Right.
than other ones? That
Right.
kind of thing. Understand the meaning behind that. You can't get intent out of people. Although if you start throwing little surveys out there and measure the intent from the surveys, you get a much better idea with that. But you can't measure intent, but you can infer it through
Right.
various things that happen. And I think that's what you focus on.
Yeah, and that's what good analytics people do.
Absolutely.
Is that's what makes inferences versus
The
reporting.
thing I usually start off with in my training sessions is analytics is not the reports, and it's
Yeah.
not the software that you use. It's the process of going through it, understanding
Yep.
how it works, recommending action, following through on that action, and doing that whole process again.
Yeah, I can't stand those reports where people show this, oh, this is the report. I'm like, okay, what are your action points? So every time you have to recommend 5 action points that you understand.
Certainly going to recommend the ones that are most important,
Right.
whether it's 5 or
Right.
2 or 20.
Whatever.
Here's what we were trying to do, here's where we missed, here's the opportunity, here's what we're going to try next.
Yeah.
Or, hey, this looked like it worked in this little test, let's expand that test and make it bigger.
And that is how you become from a data analyst to a data miner, right? If you will.
You mine the data and you dump it, that's one thing.
Right,
When you
right.
understand
Inference.
it, report it, and take action and then understand how those actions implemented everything, that's when you start becoming a real analyst.
Nice.
Your
Good.
job as an analyst is not to dump the data after you mine it. Your
Yeah.
job is to interpret it, recommend action, and follow through on that.
Right. This is great. This has been great, Thom. Is there anything that I didn't ask that you want to talk about? Sorry. I think I covered most of it.
No, it's there's so much to do, and,
Yeah.
and the answer to most of this is it's subjective.
Subjective.
But there are so many generalizations. If you get the wheels turning, and if you truly think about how your data is supposed to go and what you're trying to accomplish, that's where the magic happens. Dig
Yeah.
deep, look through things, segment deeper, report deeper, and life becomes zen then.
Oh, that's great. The Shangri-La of
We like-
reporting,
yes,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah. Now, this is great. Thank you, Thom, for joining.
My
And
pleasure.
folks, please follow Thom on Twitter, which is Thom, Thom, and it's in the contact as well. And Craver, which is Craver. Hit him up on LinkedIn. He's there on all social platforms. But thank you for tuning in, and thank you for your time, Thom.
My
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Thanks,
All
man.
right. Thank you.